Hello, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the second look. This is Back of the Net, the AFC Bournemouth fan channel. My name is Sam.
And my name is Tom.
You might be new here. By the way, the vlog that we did, how on earth has it gained so much traction? It's so weird. We uploaded it late. It was a busy old Sunday, couldn't get out for Sunday. Monday was busy. I spent half of it pouring through our footage, our 2-camera footage of our 8-a-side game.
That was just my goals, wasn't it?
And that was just your goals.
Took 25 minutes.
And then I did the full production, and then I realised I've missed out one of their goals, and it was the Billy Day goalkeeping howler.
Had to get that in.
Sorry about that, Billy, but I had to put it back in. But so we put it out on Monday night, and then it's done really well for a vlog that I thought, okay, well, we lost, and it's Brighton, not no disrespect, the biggest team in the world. Yeah, it's absolutely flown. So if you're a new Brighton subscriber to this Bournemouth fan channel, thank you so much. And this is not the last video that we'll be doing covering your club, is it, Tom?
No, that's very true, because it was an away game, so we'll be doing our away day show. And yeah, we done it last season where you might not have fared too well, but we'll see if you can make up for it this time round. We've done a bit of a different format, haven't we? So yeah, we'll dive into that and talk about everything away from the pitch, but what the away day was like as a whole. So also have the Premier League show, which we do regularly every week. So, you know, Brighton will always be in there mentioned. I think they've had a few good mentions already this season, understandably. So yeah, if you watch that, if you're watching this, really appreciate clicking that subscribe button because it massively helps.
It really does. So, at the weekend, it was the Seagulls that continued to soar after a 3-1 win over the Cherries. A win that left Bournemouth fans feeling bruised. Boscombe are still without a Premier League win. Tom, are you worried?
Not really. I'm bruised, but that was from the game in the morning.
Is there criticism to be handed out?
Yes. Yeah, I'd say so.
Are we in meltdown?
No chance. Absolutely not. It's not meltdown. Definite criticism, as I say. There's stuff that we need to get better at, for sure. There's things in games that haven't been right, and everyone will know that, including obviously the gaffer, but it's definitely not a meltdown. No chance.
Certain sections of social media, though, I sense it's brewing. Weirdly. Well, look, we'll talk about it, because on this second look, it's all about dispelling a few of the myths that are going on in Facebook land, Insta land, and Twitter land. No, X land. That sounds like a bit of a sex-themed
Sounds
theme
like
park.
a reality TV show, maybe.
Yeah,
X land.
Sounds
I think of X on the beach, I think.
But we're going to take a reasoned look about what's going on, and it's not all doom and gloom, is it, Tom? And there are plenty of reasons why we can qualify our opinions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've all heard the different kind of snippets of people saying that, oh yes, we've got no wins, but we've got 3 points, and that's 3 points better off than we had in the reverse fixtures. We all know how bad the fixtures have been, and it's, you know, we can't really judge yet until we've had more games against teams that should be more in and around us. I think we've said it on previous shows that it might work out that we go, actually, it was better that we were learning against teams that we were going to struggle against anyway. And we're in a better place in terms of knowing what Andoni wants with the team and the style of play in winnable games. So don't get me wrong, you can win any football match. You don't just play the names. You can win any game on your day. Of course you can. You know, we've just lost to Brighton, but they did lose to West Ham, for example, that we didn't. But, you know, let's be realistic. If you put all them games, just filter them around the season, there's no pundits or anyone that's predicting Bournemouth to get even 3 points, which we've managed. So, yeah, and there's better to watch, there's loads of things I like about the team, and there's loads of things that we still need to improve on. But we're getting bodies back as well. You've got people forgetting that certain players that are playing at the moment didn't have much for pre-season, so it's going to take them a while, and we've still got a couple of really big players to come back. So, and, you know, we've got a cup run to do, we've got to get to Wembley and win that, so we've got a lot to do, mate.
I don't really like calling fixtures free hits, but we've had a fair amount of games that we probably expected to lose, and as such a free hit, it's almost like doing your GCSE mock. It doesn't really mean anything, but you'd rather do well in the actual games, right? So we know we've got some of them coming up.
And I'd say the 3 that we thought, could we nick something? That's what we did. So Brentford away, West Ham at home and Chelsea at home. We went, we're not expected to, but we could nick something, and we did. And then we've lost 3 games this season to 2nd in the league, 3rd in the league, and 4th in the league. I mean, it can't be all doom and gloom, mate.
It can't be all doom and gloom. So we're pleased to announce that this season, Back of the Net is sponsored by Green King, where football is more than a game.
Green King Sport venues are showing every single televised Bournemouth fixture over the 23-24 season.
And with 900 sports pubs across the UK, it doesn't matter whether you're based in Bournemouth or
Bromley.
Like that from you can catch every single minute of the action.
So keep an eye out during the season for events, offers, content and competitions that put you that bit closer to the action.
We've had games already this season on Sky and TNT. I think our next one is a Sky Sports one. That's Newcastle. That's in November on the 11th. But whichever games you're watching, if you can't get to the stadium, the next best thing is to watch the Premier League action on TNT and Sky Sports at your local Green King pub. So, Tom, I was wondering whether we were going to go below the dotted line. Turned out that Newcastle did us a favour, and I hate to say it.
Well played.
But they really did do us a favour, because had Sheffield United registered a win there, then obviously that would have put them above us. Alas, it didn't happen to be the case. And Bournemouth, look, we're okay. The team that beat us are in third place, and like you say, I mean, look at that top of the table. We've played most of them, and there's another one around the corner as well. Cannot wait for that. So it was always a game that was going to be difficult, and I suppose the question mark over this one was, will there be a European hangover? This is the first time Brighton have experienced it. We were wondering how we're going to play against them, but they made 9 changes.
They did, and I think it shows the depth of their squad is better than we realise. You know, they have got a good squad, and I thought there might be a few changes, but yeah, they made a lot, and the team still didn't look any weaker for it, really. But you know, you remember that people like Ferguson and Welbeck didn't actually play in Europe dunk either, so you knew they're going to have some good players back. So it wasn't a massive surprise, but I was quite happy that like Mitoma, I thought, oh, that's good that he's on the bench because he can cause problems, can't he? João Pedro as well, but they're good players to bring off the bench, Ansu Fati. So yeah, difficult. But I was happy with our lineup and our subs bench as well, mate.
We had the one change,
which I called the change, but didn't get the replacement right. So it was Dango Ouattara come out, but it was Kluivert that come in. I think I went Semenyo, didn't I? But I understood that because Kluivert probably earned the right, to be fair. And we had a few like that now, which we'll come on to, where some of them he's obviously spoke about, particularly the wide areas, will kind of play an hour probably and then come off because of the energy they have to, the press and stuff. And we see, it seems like at the moment, the way we're playing, the one that comes on for the last half hour is always the best. Yeah. And that makes sense if you think about it, because they're coming off the last half hour and the fullbacks are knackered and they're full of energy. So that was probably what ended up happening with Kluivert, because I don't think he was quite as good. And then equally there was another player that come on later and done well as well.
I saw your piece on the BBC website, by the way, that was uploaded earlier today. And I think, I don't want to brown nose you, but you got the tone just right, I think.
I thought so.
Because there are frustrations. There are frustrations, but we're not going to go into meltdown over them, because there is some context to the frustrations that we're having. Obviously, it was disappointing, the lack of clinicality during the game. Maybe we should be scoring more goals. We're certainly creating the chances, but it's these little moments within games as well, moments of madness or individual errors that are costing us dear. I'm seeing online a few players being mentioned, and almost like the typical scapegoats that we've seen previously, which I don't quite agree with, and I know you don't from seeing your player ratings on Telegram, but alas, we'll tackle that, I'm sure. Brighton, 2 p.m. kickoff then. Don't like Sunday kickoffs, really don't. First thing I've got to say, the atmosphere there from the off was better than last time. Yeah, I thought we'll tackle this on our away day show, but it was much better, much more vibrant. I don't know, it just felt very loud.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because obviously when we played them last time, they were in a good place, weren't they? And they didn't seem as up for it. And I wonder if it was them thinking, they're on a really good run. They're thinking, we weren't great at the time, obviously, and they were thinking, well, we'll just turn up here and beat them. Whereas I wonder if, because they obviously were at home on the Thursday and they actually lost in Europe. Yeah. And I wonder if they almost thought, let's get behind the boys, we don't want a European hangover.
Yeah, and Pete, who I was chatting to in the bar beforehand, Brighton fan, he said De Zerbi's, the good thing about De Zerbi is that when they do lose, the following game, there's always a reaction. Right. Always. And Pete, you'll have seen that there was. But Bournemouth started the game really well, I thought. Really well. In fact, we had a chance early doors where there was a free kick on the right-hand side, taken really quickly. Not the first time we've seen that. Very similar free kick, but Dom Solanke was put through, and I think Bournemouth fans and players were half-heartedly calling for a penalty. Dom was felled, but he could have got that shot away a bit more quicker. Well, he didn't shoot in the end. He took a touch, which was his downfall.
Yeah, but like you say, it was a fast start. It was a good early chance. But I said that in the first time this season. You think Anfield's the one that springs to mind straight away. Where we're going to these away games thinking it was going to be tough, and we started really, really well. And it won't. I mean, obviously we did it against Liverpool, but there'll be times this season where we finish our chances, and it will be different. But it was nice to see us just start positively. The worst thing for me, obviously happened a lot last season and previous seasons. I'm sure loads of clubs are the same. As teams start really tensively because they think, let's work the other team out, and whereas we're quite, let's impose ourselves. Let's impose ourselves on the opposition. They might have a bit of a European hangover. Let's try and catch them cold, and we nearly did. But I was really encouraged by the start of the game, mate.
One thing I thought was that it was, whilst we were, I think, in control, it was quite a dull start, really. I think Brighton were being nullified all over, and I think our press was really good. Yeah. We can see that exemplified in the opening goal as well. But also their keeper, Verbruggen, just keeping the hold of the ball. And it was almost like he was just waiting for players to be drawn in to create that space, but we weren't having any of it. So I don't know if you worked out individually what players had what amount of time on the ball, but I think he'd be up there. Yeah, because it felt like he was on the ball for so long, and everyone was getting a bit impatient, really.
Yeah, it was perfect from us because they want to do that because they think if you'll just stand there with the ball, eventually they'll come out, they'll press me, and I'll knock it around the corner, and then we've just players out of the game. And that's what they were trying to do, and I thought we played it perfectly, as you say, and the energy was there right from the off, and I think it was good that it was, like you say, a little bit that dull feel, because it was because they weren't really they weren't really getting into our half causing any problems. They were just knocking it about, and we were quite comfortable in our shape.
They had a couple of daisy cutters, shots that really didn't trouble Neto, but apart from that, during the half, we won't talk about stoppage time just yet. I think that we caused more of a threat, and I think when you watch Match of the Day's highlights, I think that shows that. Sometimes you watch Match of the Day and it looks like one team's had more chances than you feel as though you had, but it was probably about right, and we were pressing, and one of our presses worked really well, where Christie came across the keeper and then managed to get his foot on it, and it fell to Dom, and that happened all in the blink of an eye, because I must admit, those are the points where I switch off as a fan. Their keeper's got it. If I want to have a little chat, if I'm going to look around, that's when I'm going to do it. And then all of a sudden I'm hearing the crowd, roar as Dom Solanke shoots towards goal. Looks like it's going over from our angle, goes in.
It's actually a good finish.
A great finish.
At the time, I thought, what is he doing? Why is he at the side? I just put it in the corner. It was a really clever finish. But yeah, I see it back, and at the time, I thought that their goalie had... I mean, obviously it is an error from their perspective, from the goalkeeper, but I thought he got kind of just like miskicked it and kind of gave it away, and it fell to Dom, and then I look back at it and go, oh no, Christie done a lot better than I realised. Which is typical Ryan Christie, isn't it? So, really, really pleased for him. He deserves that for all the running he does, for it to come off. And Dom was in the right place, wasn't he? And it was a nice finish. But I felt we earned that. And I was going through the rest of the half. What was that, just over 20 minutes in? And I was thinking, we're all right here. I mean, it's not going to stay like this. I know it's not in terms of the feel of the game. They're going to come into it. But I'm quite comfortable here now. And if they do open up a little bit, it just gives us more chance on the break. I felt really comfortable.
Dom was doing that celebration, and that's for his daughter, that's called Amaya, that was born last week. I thought he was grading Tom Jordan's morning performance, but alas, not the case. Good finish from Dom though, and we felt really comfortable throughout all of it. It was interesting because we saw the stats that suggest that teams that have got a low block are the teams that do well against Brighton. We didn't have that. We took the game to them, and 45 minutes gone, I'm thinking, right, I might go down in a minute. Of course, you've already gone.
I'm having a point thing. I'll tell you what, this is easy.
And I don't blame you, because, we were controlling it. The game was like really fluid. We were creating some good chances. And if that's what our football style can be, brilliant. But organised chaos often leads to issues as well. Brighton worked a great opportunity. I think they had a corner. Yeah. Partially cleared. It was recycled to the left-hand side. Was it Gilmore that had the ball?
Yeah,
the sort of movement created room for Gilmore to put in a wicked right-footed cross. And this is where I'm confused, because obviously it came off Kirkes and went into the net. But Neto, I really don't know what he was doing there. And I did see an interview, or hear an interview he did on Radio Solent, where he didn't admit it was his mistake, but also didn't want to put the blame on Kirkes either.
Yeah.
I think deep down he probably knows that was his
Yeah,
error.
it's difficult to be 100% with it because you never know. But the amount of angles I've seen, like, you can't see him screaming for it, and he should be screaming for it. And even the way he's just kind of there with his hands out quite sheepishly is not great. I think in general, not just that goal, I just think in general, I just want him to be a bit more commanding. He's an experienced goalkeeper who's our captain, who was bloody brilliant the week before, by the way, I'd like to add. And I just think from balls in the box and stuff, we know we struggle from set piece. I know that wasn't officially a set piece, but it's a ball in the box. And I just want, this is not just Neto, I've always been this sort of fan where I want my goalkeeper. People say it's shot stopping, blah, blah. I think every single goalkeeper in the Premier League should be able to be a good shot stopper, for God's sake. Otherwise, why are they a goalkeeper? Yeah. And Neto is a good shot stopper. I want my goalkeeper to be commanding, even if he has to punch a few, I want them to go, when a ball comes in the box, I'll take charge of it. I can use my bloody hands, no one else can. Yeah. I'll come out and I'll try and help you. And if I make an error, I make an error. But I'm going to take responsibility. And we've got a really experienced goalkeeper who is wearing the armband. And I just think sometimes he needs to be a bit more of an organiser. I think he's always been good vocally and stuff like that. From crossing the box, I think he's very much on his line or even bloody behind it sometimes. I just want him to, I don't know, I want to take a bit more responsibility in them moments, to be honest. And we'll come on to it again later. Sometimes, I don't want to criticise him too much. I bloody love Neto. Yeah. Really, really like him. I think he was so pivotal in us staying up last season, him coming into the side, by the way, and getting the armband. But yeah, I felt that one, if you clean off Kirkes' edge, you clean off his edge. Just come out and make... We've got... The half-time whistle's going any minute. Just get that ball out of there. And I just didn't think it looked like a young goalkeeper that didn't want to take responsibility, and that's not what Neto is. So... yeah, that was frustrating. As I say, I didn't see it live, and but everyone was saying, I saw Kirkes' own goal, but everyone that was coming down was going, Neto should have got it.
Well, that's it. Some people might be laying blame with Kirkes for that, and especially after his error at Brentford as well. You feel sorry for the lad, really. Yeah. It's not that was an own goal, not of his making, really. I think Neto should have been more commanding. He is the senior figure. He really should be communicating, and like you say, didn't look like he did. So we went in at 1-1. Yeah. I suppose arguably you could say that they gifted us a goal, we gifted them a goal.
Potentially.
Just call it 0-0.
Yeah, I know what you mean, which I probably would have taken. It was the timing of it was frustrating, a bit like the Brentford one at the end. Can we dip into Kirkes a little bit while we're on it? Because obviously it was the own goal. And Milos Kirkes has been incredible. I love him, we all love him. He's a starting left-back, don't need a better left-back. We're absolutely fine, there's not many better, actually. And he's 19 years old. The responsibility levels on Kirkes, are they too high in terms of we've got a 19-year-old left-back? I'm thinking already of this cup game, he's going to have to play him. We haven't got anyone else. No, we haven't. So what do we do? We haven't got...
Lloyd's injury, I don't know how.
Well, that's what... But if you go, OK, we could play Lloyd at left-back for a game, well, that's not resting Lloyd then. No. So what I'm saying is we can't really rotate him. I remember in the Swansea game he had to come on, and... My worry is you've got a 19-year-old lad who's got unbelievable potential. He's a brilliant player. But bloody hell, we're putting a lot on him. He's 19 and he has got to be... He's got no chance. He can't get rotated.
We must have one of the youngest defences, back fours in the league, surely.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's a case of saying both Aarons and Smith can play there. Kelly can play there. But what I'm saying is we've got one natural left-back at the football club. And it's just the point I was thinking is we're over... we're so... what's the word? Not overstocked. That doesn't sound right. Is that right? Overstocked. You know what I'm saying when I say that. With wingers, wide players, them sort of players. And then we've got one left back. Yeah. And it just feels a little bit... I know they probably would have liked to have got maybe a Vigna in, which would have been perfect. And it might be something we look at, maybe a loan or something at some point. It's just a point that I think we all... He's a fan's favourite already. We all love him. I just think let's not... Because potentially you could make a case to go 2 errors already this season. But let's make sure we don't start getting on at him because we've got no other choice. Yeah. And I think for a 19-year-old lad to have that much responsibility on him already is quite a lot. So, I just hope we look at that a little bit. Maybe he's thinking that if anything happened, I'm quite comfortable with Smith at left back. I don't know.
Fatty came on and Mitoma as well. Those are the changes that De Zerbi made at the start of the second half. Well, it's done during half time. And it's fair to say that both players had
instant
impact. So look, we took a kick-off and it was looked like a set piece routine where the intention was for us to score. The opposition scored within 15 seconds of it being taken. There are a couple of things I don't really understand. So the ball's played back to Lewis Kirk, who dallies on the ball.
Yeah, he takes too long.
I think what he's trying to do is wait for draw his marker in, create some space. But because he does that, the person closing down on Billing is getting closer to Phil Bill. Read the fact that he was going to do his pass over the top, which is what he did for Fulham.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure whether that was the exact same manoeuvre, but you saw players on both sides marauding forward, including Ilya Zabani on the right-hand side there. Like, he was sent up there for this one, which is weird. So it just meant that when Brighton did get the ball back, it meant that it was Lloyd Kelly all on his own. Now, I want to make just a quick point here, because some people on the Vitals forum are singling out Lloyd Kelly, saying he had a bad game. Seen a couple of players on people on Twitter say that as well. Right. When Phil Bill tries to play it with his left foot, it comes off the foot of the Brighton midfielder and it spins quite. Those are the hardest balls to head. I'm telling you now, because you don't know like which way it's going to go. So he gets his head on it, clears it to the best of his ability. It just happens to land to a Brighton player. But I'm telling you now, those are the hardest balls to head. Maybe in hindsight, he should have just twat it out with his foot. I don't know. But Brighton then attack in a mixture of Fatty and then Mitoma, who just jinks in between the defence, creates a space. Lloyd Kelly's sort of in no man's land, not his own fault.
He's on his own.
And then he just pokes it in. 2-1. Tom's still downstairs.
Don't. Literally, this is a good point, by the way. I don't know if you realise. They scored their second goal earlier than they scored their first goal because of the half-time. And the stoppage time of the first. But yeah, like I say, I looked at I heard a bit of a cheer. Well, it's weird because when you're down there, it's not that loud from there, and you think, if they scored, look at my phone, it goes, Mitoma, I go, he's not even on, he's not even playing. But yeah, it's what it is, and then I come up. But yeah, looking at that back, there's so many things. It's one of them things, mate. We try a routine like we did, as you rightly mentioned, against Fulham. The Fulham one could go wrong, it goes perfectly, so we're all praising it. Goes wrong, it's just one of them things. I think if we get that ball right, if Lewis plays it a little bit earlier, or if Billing connects with it better, or whatever, if Zabani flicks the ball onto Dom and we go 2-1 up, everyone's going, that is genius for sending Zabani up. When it happens like it happens, we're stuffed because Zabani's up the pitch. He's right up there. So yeah, it was one of them things. We tried a routine, which I always like trying things like that, but it didn't work. They were onto it quickly. It was, I don't know, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I think, would I have tried something like that at 1-1 when they've just scored away at Brighton? Probably not. But I don't mind the fact that we're trying something to get a goal. We're trying something for good reasons. So we're trying something to try and score. We're not trying something to try and hold on to something. I quite like the positive.
Yeah, okay, yes.
But it didn't work. They're not always going to work. Unfortunately, it didn't work in the worst possible scenario. It ended up with them scoring. But there's loads of things, mate. If you look at it again, probably wouldn't have sent Zabani up. Lewis would have probably kicked it earlier. Billing would have seen him, going to close him down. Kelly would have taken a bit more time when he had it. Loads of things, mate. It's one of them. Mitoma does well, so does Fatty. It's a good finish. Killer start the second half, mate. And yeah, just before half-time and just after half-time have kind of been the two game-changing moments, really. And they defined this football match because, as you say, I've come back up watching a football match that I felt we've been pretty much in control of away at Brighton, and we're 2-1 down.
It felt like night and day though, the first half and the second half, because I felt that we were a different side. Brighton were a different side, obviously inspired by Mitoma, and I think just that change in mentality.
Yeah, of course.
That change in mentality means that they're on the front foot, and we sort of we felt, I don't know, it felt like we were passive. And there wasn't a control. We were still counter-attacking, and we were still like there were chances that we do create during the game, which I think is an improvement on last season, because sometimes we were passive and did nothing with it. But this time I think that whilst we didn't have the control in the second half, we definitely did in the first. Whilst we didn't, we were still creating the chances. And look, had defenders not been throwing their bodies on the line and stuff, and had Dom's header just gone in, and then it was cleared off the line, it just brushed off him, didn't it? If those little moments, it could have changed the game for us. As it was, it was a frustrating one. And look, they're bringing on the likes of Fassi, Mitoma, and then João Pedro as well for Danny Welbeck. So as a result, as you can see from the match timeline there, we're making a couple of changes to try to counter it. Let's just talk about the players that vacated the pitch. Justin Kluivert, I think, did quite well.
Yeah, I thought both done quite well actually.
Yeah, Marcus Tavernier, he did all right.
I thought they were both quite good. I think I think Justin was probably a bit more on the eye because he opened a few things up with his pace. I think Tav didn't do anything wrong, put it that way. I think he kept I don't remember him losing it too much. So I think his stats probably look all right. But didn't impact the game in terms of creating anything of note. But it's just what we expect now, and he's openly said that after about an hour, 70 minutes, we'll look to change them sort of areas because they're going to run out of steam. So I understood that. We've got really good options. I think a lot of people, if you had asked them, would have gone Brooks and Sinistera, actually. I wanted Semenyo on, actually, so I was pleased with that, and then Dango come on as well. But I thought they both done okay. I thought Semenyo was brilliant, actually, when he come on. He done what Kluivert did against Chelsea.
Yeah, he was hustling and bustling. He's very strong with it as well, and I love his aggression. He's not afraid to put his body in. But looking at those substitutions that we just said, even later on in the game, I mean, Traore, I know that he can play in the number 10 role, and as can Brooks, but 4 of the 5 subs were wingers, and we didn't use Sinistera. What does that tell you about where we've got so many players?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a weird one because it's no one else's. I haven't seen Sinistera for Bournemouth enough, but I don't know. It's a weird one. I would understand the point that you're kind of going, well, he knows the others a bit more and they might be a bit fresher. We don't know how Sinistera is in terms of his fitness. It's just more the fact that some of these lads, like Wataru, who's only just come back, by the way, and like Brooksy, maybe less so Brooks, but especially Wataru, just come back, and I think, we've got a cup game.
Yeah.
We can play them there. Let's give them, Sinistera, as far as my knowledge is aware, can't play because he's played in the last 2 rounds for Leeds.
Yeah, good point.
So Sinistera
did
can't
he actually play?
Yeah, he came on in both games. So he can't play in the week. So I kind of thought, well, give him half hour because he can have another rest in the week when the others have got to play. But maybe he's just not quite 100% and he's thinking, I'll give you a full week off because he can't play. Who knows? But anyway, I would have liked to have seen him come on just because his numbers speak for himself. He can maybe open something up, and that's why we've brought him in. But nevertheless, I was glad we changed the wingers. I thought Semenyo was brilliant. I think
he had a couple of shots, didn't he?
He did, and the thing with Semenyo is he doesn't do anything. This is not meaning to be a slight on him at all, but it's nothing too clever. He just gets it and runs. He doesn't like try a nutmeg or try some nice little bit of feet. He just gets the ball. He's strong and he just drives. Yeah. The angles for his shots were very difficult for him to score, but I just like that impact, and I think we're gonna have that all season. I think we've seen it back to back now that the player that's come on, the winger that's come on after about an hour or so, has made a massive impact. Kluivert last week, Semenyo this, and I think we're going to see that as a regular theme. And I think you don't want to look too deeply, particularly in the wide areas of who's starting. Don't look too deeply into it because they're probably going to play an hour and the others are going to play half hour. Don't worry about it. I think that will change a lot because whatever happens, he knows that them wingers are going to virtually have 2 slots of wingers. So don't worry about the starting 11 as much because Semenyo and Kluivert have been our 2 best wingers the last 2 and neither of them started.
Yeah, on one of our videos about Andoni Iraola's style, I think we called it 10 reasons why this is going to be brilliant or whatever, but we called it something, and also the tactical way he plays, there's a heavy reliance of those wingers.
Yes.
So that's why we've got so many of the, Semenyo, like you say, that shot, one of the shots he had was, I think it was saved by the keeper but went into the air, and that's when Dom had that head. It sort of hit the side of his head, cleared off the line. Semenyo could have been on the end of a chance where Dongo squared it, but the pass was pretty poor. It was behind him. He had another shot, as you say, but for all the chances we have, it's Brighton that net the third goal for them, 4th goal of the game. And
I realised on the vlog, by the way, it was a killer because you just spoke to me and said, huffing and puffing kind of thing, blah, blah. And I said, look, if we just keep it at 2-1, we can nick something. And then you flash back and it's over. Oh, for God's sake. But that's what it felt like, wasn't it? If we could just keep them for another bit, you never know. And then it's just poor defending, poor everything was. We had this moment where I think Kirk has lost the ball and then won it back and then lost the ball again, and then it was recycled to the left-hand side. Estepinian put the ball in and he just stood it up. It was a great cross. But our defending, man, there was a lot of space between Zabani, who was in front of the ball, Lloyd Kelly that was behind it. I don't know where the blame lies, if anyone, but Matoma was literally just in between them. It's probably one of the easiest headers
that he'll have.
Yeah, I think that's also why Brighton are quite clever, because if you think about their front men, so I think they started the game, Ferguson in there, they had Welbeck in there, then João Pedro come on. They're all kind of, I don't want to say false nine, but you'll know what I mean if I say that. And they drop off, which means the centre halves often haven't got anyone to mark. So I think what Matoma does clever, they're just in their roles and Matoma just drifts in. But I mean, I don't want to talk about it too much because, as you well know from the morning game, little men score headers. Chucking the clip now. But Matoma, the fact that the last 2 times I've been to the Amex, Matoma scored 2 headers. Yeah. That ain't good enough, is it? That ain't good enough. He is bigger than me, by the way, I'm sure. But he shouldn't be scoring headers. It was a good header, to be fair. He doesn't. But even that, I don't want to be too critical. But going back to what I said earlier, and I'm not saying this is an error or anything. I'm just saying when that ball comes in, you can see it a million miles off. Now it'll just come out. Yeah. In my opinion, just come out and punt, because you can see that ball coming in. He's got a free header. He's so planted. He's never going to save it.
He likes his goal line, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he loves his goal line.
Sometimes I just want my goalie to just come and be a little commanding, but that's definitely not an error by Neto, by the way. He could if he come out, miss the punch there at him, then it's an error. Yeah. So I'm not trying to say that I'm not a goalkeeping coach. Maybe he should stay on his line there. Just to me, from the eye, as I'm seeing it, I'm going, well, we all know what's going to happen here, and that was just planted. If you're planted, you've got no chance of saving that. But yeah, it was a real shame, because I felt like with the subs, as we mentioned, we were just starting to go, well, you never know. But when that happens in a game like at 2-1, it's easy to say in hindsight, but you're probably thinking, we're either going to get 2-2 or we're going to lose 3-1 because they're going to catch us. And that's what ended up happening, unfortunately. But I think the frustrating thing was with them chances you mentioned with like Dom's header, Semenyo having a few. I think obviously Brooksy, when he later come on, they've blocked one. They're all at 3-1.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, if they, yes, you think, if we can get a second, you never know. But yeah, it was a little bit frustrating, mate. But it was. I felt that could happen if we were trying to keep them at 2, and they're a good side.
They are a good side. These are the stats from the game, and look, I mean, that shows that it was pretty damn close. But obviously, the main stat is that Brighton scored 3, and we
only had 4 on target.
Yeah,
they scored 3. Yeah, the other one was a P-roller, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is frustrating.
But we're getting shots away, we're creating chances, but it's just we're not taking them. I don't know if you want to call it lack of clinicality or something. I mean, Brighton's defending was absolutely brilliant, I've got to say.
Yeah, I would say, but I think it's lack of clinicality in both boxes, by the way. I think you can make that statement for both boxes. Putting the ball in the net and keeping it out the other, and that's there with the stats to see. And also the fact that yes, we've had just as many shots on target as them. Blah blah blah. We've had quite a lot of shots. Do you remember their keeper making a really good save? I don't. Not really. Not a good save. Not top save. I actually thought their goalkeeper didn't play well, and he's only let in one go. You know what I mean? I don't think we caused him enough problems. I don't think we gave Dom enough. And my main issue in our forward play, which is fun, we've got energy, we've got pace, we've got power. Have we got enough creativity? Because for all Christie's pressing and energy and Semenyo's pressing, are they creative? Are they going to open a door? Do you know what I'm trying to say? I feel like we're missing that a little bit, and I wonder if Brooks could maybe be that player. Maybe we don't know about Traore, but Alex Scott when he comes back. But I sometimes think, do we need a little bit more of a creative spark in there sometimes?
Why can't Billing be that player?
Because he's having to play deeper.
But then, do we have to play him deeper? Do we have to?
Well, no, because you could play Rothman and Cook.
Do you think when Tyler Adams comes back, Billing might be utilised in a position whereby he can be more effective again, rather than, because he's one that does get numbers. Christie does not get numbers. No. Or look, we know that he created that the goal, and we know that he works like a dog, and he like he always runs like it's his last breath, and it's great. Love seeing that industry and endeavour, and that's what Bournemouth fans want to see. And I think that's probably why he's endeared very much to the AFC Bournemouth fan base, because I think he just works so hard, and he's clearly blowing come the end of the game. He's also wears his heart on his sleeve. He's very disappointed, but stats-wise, Billing is better in that position. So could that be something that happens?
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, Christie did technically get an assist, by the way. In this game, but I totally agree. I mean, there's we have loads of games, and as I said about the subs and stuff, there's not really too much into it with 11s and things like that, because I think there's so many games and we've got so many versatile players. I could say to you now, right, okay, Adams is back, he plays with Lewis Cook, you play Billing in front, Christie could play off one side, Tavernier off the other and Slanky through. Like, Christie can just go off to a wide position and come in.
Yeah.
They're quite flexible in the way we play anyway. I mean, if you think about it, Ouattara's first game back with Tavernier, they were the two wide men against Chelsea. Well, everyone assumed it would be Dango on the right and Tavernier on the left. It was the other way round. And then when Dango come on, he come on the right.
Yeah.
So he's played 2 games this season. One's been on the left, one's been on the right. Kluivert's played on the left, he's played on the right. Tavernier's played on the right, he's played on the left. He likes them to be flexible around there. So it wouldn't shock me if people are kind of saying, oh, if Billing goes further forward, but Christie's doing so well. Christie could play wide if we needed him to. There'll be games where you go, all right then, we'll have Billing, you do 60 minutes, because you've got the numbers, and then we'll bring Christie on for Billing.
Yeah.
And imagine Christie in the last half hour, fresh. You know, we can have loads of options. I just think he clearly doesn't quite trust going Cook and Rothwell, because he hasn't done that, has he? He wants Cook or Rothwell, and clearly, as soon as Cook's come back, he's gone, even though we all said Rothwell wasn't doing badly, he's gone, Cook's my man at the moment over Rothwell, which I probably agree with on the performances. But you don't want to do them both, because maybe it just takes a little bit attacking impetus away from us. So I quite like that reasoning. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting when we play in the cup game, because he could go with suddenly you could have Rothwell, Kilkenny and Traore, and it's completely different. And Traore goes and grabs a game by the scruff of his neck, you're going to someone else. So there's loads of options in there. I'm not worried about that, and I'm not worried about them doing what Andoni wants them to do. There's just times where I go, it's great fun having all this pace and power, but sometimes you need a little bit more up here. And I just think, you know, like when we had, for a very short amount of time, we had Wilshere, and he doesn't have any pace or power, but sometimes you just get the ball and go boom, and just put your striker through and you scored. And I just wonder sometimes, Brooks is probably the one that I think could have that in him, but I just look at some of them players, your Tavs, your Dangos, I haven't seen enough Sinistera and Semenyo's, and I go, have they got that eye for put the ball for the eye of a needle for Dom to finish? I'm not sure yet, but we'll see.
The shots chalkboard, we'll just take a look at the various shots. Was there a shot that they had from the halfway line at some point? I cannot remember that, but that's what it alludes to. Brighton had a shot from the halfway line that went wide of Neto's right-hand post. Can you remember that?
No, unless they've just pumped out the pitch and they've put it down as a shot. I don't know.
I can't remember
Weird.
that. Need to recall
I need to look at that.
That's the shots chalkboard. And there's the average positions as well. This was quite interesting because we wondered whether Brighton would have more players pushed up. They weren't really. I mean, they were largely encamped in their own half, but the substitutions opened the game up quite a bit. Bournemouth's average position, though, that was weird. It's almost like we were playing very narrow there, wasn't it?
Yeah, very narrow. And I think, you know, hindsight is a wonderful thing. You go playing really narrow, and we can see from a few wide areas getting balls in, really. But yeah, I understood that, and we knew that the way they try and play out from the back, we had to keep it quite tight and narrow and get that press and everyone in together. So yeah, and I think we went about the game pretty well. My main, concern, it's not really a concern, but just a point on the game was because I felt it was the opposite against Chelsea. We spoke about, didn't we, how it was the first game where I felt we ended the better team. And I thought that's a good sign. It's just the fitness levels are coming. I think in previous games we've burnt out. This one, that was the only disappointing thing. I know they've made changes and they've got good subs, but I thought they've played in the week. We've had a whole week to prepare for this game, and I felt like we were miles better in the first than we were in the second. And that was a little bit of a concern because I thought, well, we should have the energy here. We should have the bit more freshness about us. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. And I'm sure that would be the same for Andoni, because he was very vocal about the fact that he loved against Chelsea that last 15 we were the team.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants from us. So, that was just something I picked up on that I thought... I remember even when I come out, as I say, and they had taken a 2-1 lead, half of me was going, yeah, but they've played in the week. We ended the game well at Chelsea. You never know. And it didn't quite materialise. Maybe if that third goal don't go in, there's a bit, because it's hard. That's probably taking the stuffing out of the lads. But
quite late.
Just something I noticed that I thought that was weird, because against Chelsea it was the reverse. True. So we'll see how that pans out, really. So
we're okay with it. Some people weren't okay. BBC website, I don't know where they pluck these opinions from, whether people are getting them from the forums that they have or feedback forms or something. I'm going to take one, for example. There's a guy called Tom that wrote something, but this one was definitely not from you. This is what he said. Abysmal. Scoring first should have set the scene. We should have seized control, but we failed. My faith in the manager is waning. One more loss, out he goes.
Well, that's not a Bournemouth fan.
That's what that is a Bournemouth fan.
That's someone pretending to be a Bournemouth fan, surely.
Honestly,
That
it's
is
scary.
ridiculous.
Mike also put a comment that was slightly more measured, although he did say we didn't bring in the right players. Scott and Adams are good, but they're injured. Well, I don't know what to say about that. Paul said, we seem to have switched from being a very negative, keep the score down team to a bit gung-ho, let's get attacking at all costs side under this new regime. It seems we are hoping that we will score 5 if the opposition scored 4. Why is it now not okay, but under Eddie Howe, that was fine? Why is that?
I do remember there was times under Eddie though where people were going, oh, we need to be better at the back. Like, because you never with Bournemouth, unless you're Man City, you're never going to get everything. If you could suddenly go, right, I'll tell you what we should be. Right, Sam, let me out here. We should be really attacking, good to watch, and amazing at the back. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? It's just not that simple, unfortunately. I'd rather this, personally, than what we had previously. If you like, there's lots of people that like teams that are really good at defending.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. That's personal choice. My personal preference is I prefer this football. Yeah. But yeah, some of the things now are not. Yeah, I disagree with them. I think, once you go 1-0 up, you want to be able to control the game. But everyone wants to. How many teams are going to go to the Amex and control the game? I think that's very, very difficult. I thought we'd done well. It was one of them things, mate. It was one of them things. I don't want to be too, stereotypical, but it was moments, wasn't it? It was moments. If that whistle goes just before he crosses the ball, we're 1-0 at half time. Who knows? It's one of them things. But I think this game in particular was more moments and individual errors than it was anything tactically, to be honest with you. I don't think there was nothing that, as we mentioned, I kind of would have liked to have seen Sinistera maybe over Ouattara, whatever. But there was nothing that I thought, what's he doing here? Not really. Yeah. It was fine.
I think people like Tom, not this Tom, the other Tom on BBC Comments, like, I don't know, I sense there are a couple of people, I'm not even want to say a few, but those views always get amplified on social media by retweets and engagement and stuff. The more you engage, the more that'll pop onto your newsfeed. I just think they're losing a little bit of the perspective, and I sense that they're not one that likes a bit of endurance and just wants instant results. So if he hadn't got any endurance in him, I fear for his partner. Put it that way, Tom. But look, I think,
and you saw in the early game that I got a lot of stamina. A lot of stamina. I was just going to quickly say, because I don't want it to look too, what's the word, happy clapper-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought of another point, that after watching Match of the Day, De Zerbi come out and said that's the worst he's seen his team.
Yeah.
So that was it. But it depends how you look at it. I like to try and look at it at this moment.
Did we make them like that?
We made them like that. That's what I try to do. But equally, I'd understand people that would go, look, their Brighton were really bad and beat us comfortably. Depends how you want to look at it. I would like to look at it as in two parts, really. That in the first half, we stopped them and made them look very ordinary. And in the second half, we weren't up to them levels.
I didn't see from them some obvious sort of errors, that obviously the goal. But, I don't think that I think that we made them bad.
Yeah, I think they were surprised at how the press was.
Yeah, and the average positions probably indicate that. Yeah. So I think there's probably a compliment in there from De Zerbi. Why should we be patient with Iraola? De Zerbi, during his first 5 games as manager of Brighton, his record was worse than Iraola's, where he gained only 2 points. And the games that they played, there's a Spurs, Liverpool, Brentford. They also played Nottingham Forest in that bunch as well. They did play Man City as well as one of them. But I think that the fact is they've now gained the fruits of this kind of patience that they've got. They've got an infrastructure there. Yeah. They've stuck with their manager. They've got a plan. And there's some people on social media saying that he's got one more game left.
Mental.
That's absolutely mental. And we're seeing some good signs. You've got to admit it. Don't let frustration manage to sort of change the tint of your glasses, because some of the opinions that I'm seeing are, very odd, very odd. And we were all creaming over the fact that we'd have this organised chaos.
Yeah, and it's still...
And now we don't like it all of a sudden. And we hated what O'Neill's football was. And now we've got the antidote to that. Yeah, come on.
You've got a new manager, a new style, new players to integrate. And in this time where you want to be doing all that, you've got to play football matches against bloody good football teams. It's very, very difficult. And you've also got to put into play, by the way, that a lot of the players, so the existing players, have been playing a certain style, and suddenly they're going for the polar opposite. It's going to take a bit of time, and as I say, but we haven't got the time, because you've got hard football matches in between it. It's very, very difficult.
But like you say, this is the time to. These are the games where if you want to have your tests or whatever, you do it in the games that aren't as winnable.
Yeah.
And I think every single game should be winnable
Of course.
in the Premier League. But the fact is, there are teams that are going to be better than others that we struggled with last season. We didn't get any points at this stage if we were playing the same team. So
I don't know if you agree. I think that, and don't get me wrong, they've been really, really good. So that was probably the main reason. I think the only game that I thought we weren't really was Tottenham. Maybe that's because they're really good, but I thought they controlled the whole football match and we never really looked like getting anything. In every other game, there were moments in the game where I thought we were on top, even at Anfield, which, think back a year, Jesus. And if we play like that against the teams that we've played so far this season, I think we're winning a lot of football matches. That's just my opinion. And we're only going to get better.
There you go. Are we waxing lyrical a bit too much, though?
I think we're trying to give both points, but equally trying to stay positive. Because I think it's very...
I mean, like, where will our next win come from?
I know we're stuffed. No, but I think we've got to remember how everyone before this last week is talking about how Brighton are the best team barring Man City, really, and they're unplayable. And for 45 minutes, we stopped them doing anything.
Yeah.
Come on, let's still stay positive. But as you say, we ain't winning for a while. No, you never know. We've got a cup game. We'll surprise Arsenal, and we'll be fine.
The table that we're worried about is the baseline tracker, which is from the other 14. If you don't know how that works, just check out their Twitter. It's twitter.com, obviously, and then the other 14, at the other 14. And it shows you where we should be at points-wise. So we played a top 6 side in Chelsea, so we gained a couple of points from that. Yeah? Do you understand? But then we've lost certain games as well, which means you lose points, you gain points. We're exactly where we should be on 0. The teams beneath us, obviously, Burnley, Everton are down there, Brentford as well, Luton and Sheffield United. So it's not all that bad. And look, these matches that we've got in October are the ones that I'm really interested in. I mean, I think November's doesn't start off too well with Manchester City, but you know what? Like you said, brand new team, new philosophy, players adapting to new roles. Haven't even got an assistant coach yet, mate.
Yeah, how's this not been a big story, by the way? Can you imagine if Klopp's assistant wasn't here yet? It would be every single day on TalkSport, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No one even knows. No one even knows that we haven't... He's doing this without his assistant, which I don't understand, by the way. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that. Shout
to Ryan, who I saw just before the game. Was that half time? No, I think it was just before the game, just in the concourse. Always nice to see him. And he said, my slightly more... This is a tweet that I actually quite liked. My slightly more considered / useless, self-deprecating, like that from you, Ryan. For 46.5 minutes yesterday, I was in soccer heaven. I can clearly see what Andoni and the brave lads are trying to do, and I feel for whoever's soon going to be trounced when it clicks. Trounced 8-7 no less, and it will click. Probably, he said. But that's what it's like, isn't it? We are watching an exciting brand, and it will come to fruition at some point. We're sure it will. Your man of the match, who was it?
I think I just went for Lewis Cook.
Okay.
I think there was not a little standout, but I think there was some good performances in there. I think from the eye test and what I saw, I liked the fullbacks again. I thought Aarons was brilliant again. I thought Lloyd Kelly, actually, he said there was some criticism. I thought he was good. I thought Lewis Cook was good. I thought Ryan Christie was close. I think I done a poll on our Instagram, and I think Christie just edged Lewis Cook actually on that. I just went for Lewis, and then you can make a case for Semenyo for his impact. But they would have been the ones, just from looking at it, would have been my personal.
I managed to catch the player ratings show earlier on Telegram. You know what, Tom? That's my favourite show of the week, and I can see it because it's on the Back of the Net Telegram group. Here he is. Here's Tom Jordan doing his thing. Look at that beautiful face there. I don't know where you're sat. Is that like our second studio?
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks like it is because there's Bournemouth stuff on the wall. But that's you doing your thing on the morning after a game. And I find that really interesting because you've got your raw opinions on the fan cams, but quite often you've chilled, you've watched Match of the Day again, so you can get a gauge a little bit with the benefit of replays to see where your thoughts are at. And yeah, like you said, you spoke highly of Lewis Cook and others. On who scored?
Oh,
what do you think statistically the man of the match Who do you think it would be on stats alone?
I think Lewis would be up there. Don might do all right. I think Tav will be better than you think, because I think I mentioned it earlier. I don't think he done like I always, because we do this so regularly now. It's on a lot of it's on completed passes, dribble, blah blah. I can't remember him like losing it, so that always helps.
Look at me in the eye.
Semenya got a few shots off.
Look at me in the eye. Look at me in the eye and tell me that you haven't.
I promise you I haven't. Why is it Tav?
It's Tav in it!
I wasn't going to say Tav would win it. I thought it might be Lewis, but Lewis
7.1.
But that's what I said. It's because I don't think he gave the ball away much. And that always helps on them things. So for them, for example, Gilmour must have done well. Yep, Gilmour done well. Oh, Dunk, okay. So you wouldn't have looked at that game and gone, Lewis Dunk was one of their best players. But because of the stats and stuff, he kept the ball well. And the goalkeepers have had. It's weird, isn't it? That Chelsea game, I thought two goalkeepers were the best players on the pitch. And this game, they were probably the two weakest.
Yeah.
Matoma obviously got the star rating, but yeah, interesting. It's interesting that so like stats like you go, Brooks didn't do anything wrong when he come on, but his rating's rubbish because he come on the pitch and got a yellow card, and that was it. So that's the thing with the stats. But Kirkes gets a 5.7 because he scores an own goal. It is what it is. But yeah, I went for Lewis just. Who would you have gone for personally? Because I thought there was no one that stood out. I felt that Zabani and Neto were under par. Apart from that, I thought everyone was decent. But I would have gone Lewis, maybe Christie.
Maybe Semenyo.
For his impact, yeah.
For his impact. And he nearly did have such a positive impact. As you would have seen at the bottom of the screen just now, there was a little bit whereby you can get on the Telegram group. That's just by being a monthly member on Back of the Net, where we give you some first look content, show input, and a really nice chat community. AFCBpodcast.com/coffee. You can support us from as little as £3 a month. You can also just do a one-off donation if you can. That doesn't get you on the Telegram group, but if you want to do a one-off, you can certainly do that as well. But we certainly appreciate the monthlies. It really goes to help. Every last penny goes back into the channel. So there we go then, Tom. Yes. It's been interesting, but we've not got to lose our heads. I think when we're probably vindicated to do that is when we perform and maybe lose against the likes of Wolves,
teams
Everton,
in around us. Yeah, teams more around us. I think
but they look good, Everton. They looked better.
I never say I'm a little bit concerned by that game in the terms of people going, right, now the season starts. I go, when have you ever left Goodison happy? Because the only time I've been there and we've won, no, sorry, I wasn't there. It was COVID. The only time we've gone there and won that I can remember, we got relegated.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen us win there.
Yeah.
And I can't think we ever have won there. I don't know. Apart from that time. So we never leave Goodison happy. So I'm a little bit, I'm not going to be someone that says, well, we'll just go to Everton and win. But it will be more, let's see how we get on in them sort of games for sure, mate. But, we've got Arsenal before that. Stranger things have happened. They've had a few points taken off them already. They've just drew the North London derby and they're thinking, right, we need to just kick on, beat Bournemouth easy. And, sometimes that can cause them some problems. And they've got a tough game at Brentford, I think, in the Cup. So who knows, mate? Who knows? Who knows?
We appreciate your time, whether you've been listening to us or watching. Thank you if you're a Brighton fan and you've managed to get this far. If you have, just leave us a comment. Just let us know that. We truly appreciate it. Give us a like as well. If you're listening via the pod, a positive review, or negative, no, make it positive actually. Do that. That really helps us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. A review would be appreciated to put us right up there in the algorithms. Tom, pleasure as always.
Pleasure as always, mate. Let's kick on. We'll be fine. Yeah. Let's start with a nice little cut run.
Yeah, let's do it. Up the chairs. See you in the next one.
Up the chairs. See you later. I don't think I talked about my hat trick enough.
Do it again.